Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. We are going to go ahead and get started on our third talk of our Emmy Shaping the World speaker series. I am proud to bring to you all today one of our Woodruff Young Alumni Council members, a graduate of the Woodruff School. This month is Black History Month, so in a way to amplify our Black graduates, we invited Myela Paige to come back and share her journey. It was a personal and professional goal of mine to include her in this series, and I am excited to hear her and for her to share with you all a little bit about what she's been doing after graduating from the Woodruff School, share about her journey while here, participating in organizations, the offices, the resources, the people that helped shape her journey. And so right now, what I would like to do is just welcome you all to our guests who are in person and also the guests that are joining us online. Thank you all. Just a few housekeeping announcements. If you haven't already, please be sure to scan the QR code in the back so that I can get you accounted for. And make sure that everyone who's here today can also attend our future Emmy Shaping the World speaker series. We have about 5 more presenters this spring semester. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware of what's coming down the pipeline. And also we will allow for some question and answers after Myela's talk. So if you have a burning question, just maybe take a note on your phone. We'll allow 15-20 minutes after she talks to take some questions from the audience in here and also online. For our guests online, you can feel free to drop your comments or your question in the Q&A feature or in the chat. So I'll go ahead and move into our introduction of Myela. So Myela was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. She earned her undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, where she was a Meyerhoff Scholar. She matriculated on to earn her PhD in mechanical engineering from the Georgia Institute of Technology. While here at Georgia Tech, Dr. Paige's work incorporated engineering education, active learning, and mechanical design into the classroom to help students understand core topics in the mechanical engineering curriculum. Dr. Paige is passionate about community-driven design and the best interests of young people. Dr. Paige is jump-starting her time in the K-12 education field in the charter school space as a founding board member of Excelsior Village Academies. Dr. Paige wants to be sure that school is equitable for all and is looking forward to seeing how her contributions to the education field will transcend into student growth. She enjoys mentoring young women to help them brainstorm their career paths and assist them in achieving their aspirations. Dr. Paige is a senior consumer insight analyst for Anchor Innovation. So Dr. Paige actually went ahead and shared her fun fact that I was going to share with you all. She's a founding board member of a charter school. But one thing I'll add to that is that it is Henry County's first K-8 charter school. So that's a fun fact about Dr. Paige. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Paige. Myela, you can come on up. And we'll just go ahead and get her started. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me on this talk. I'm going to talk about how I got from mechanical engineering into the consumer and marketing insight space. So from ME to industry, leveraging your transferable skills. A little bit about me. This was already shared, but I am a Baltimore native. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm proud to be one. I will always say that I grew up in the Baltimore City public school system, and I had parents that were like helicopter parents. They made sure that I achieved whatever I could achieve without, can you put the presenter mode on this? Without, I mean, it was like no limitation, right? So that's how I got here. So I went to UMBC. I graduated my PhD in mechanical engineering in December 2021. Thank you. How to switch it. Does anybody know how to do that?
Yeah, so go to, you should be able to switch them, the swap presenter view, yeah, that top one.
No, it's going straight back to the thing. Oh, because there's multiple screens. There we go. I'm sorry, y'all. You're here. We're here. Yeah, we're helping. There we go. So, okay, so I am a mentor. I have two lovely mentees. I have one here at Georgia Tech. Love her dearly. Why is it? Okay, anyway, I love her dearly. And then I have, I got you. And then I have one Big Sig from the Atlanta Big Sig Little Sig organization. So I like to mentor young ladies to help them understand their career paths. My hobbies are, it's not CrossFit, but it's like a kind of CrossFit. I work out every day. I hike. I do run, and I just started a book. I just started with a book club, and they have me reading. So reading after a PhD is hard, but hey, they have me reading. I am passionate about helping people understand. I'm not saying I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about helping people understand. You could be older, younger. I just want to make sure that you understand and things are intuitive to you. And I once sat in your seat. You know, I came here in 2016 and I graduated. So that's all I can really say. But while I was here, I was a part of the co-president of Woodruff School of Graduate Women. I was the vice president of Black Graduate Student Association. I was very active in the Center for Engineering Education and Diversity. I was the executive officer in the PhD, the consulting club that did help me understand what my transferable skills were. And then I did some pro bono consulting. And although I didn't get my undergraduate degree here, my talk is still relevant because transferable skills aren't just only for grad students, and they help you in everyday life, no matter what. But when I got here, I knew I was not going to be a technical engineer, but I didn't know what I was going to do. So as long as my stipend was still there, I was always going to do one thing I knew what I could do, which was learn and be a grad student. Then I'll figure it out at the end. Okay. So this is me. Throughout my graduate student journey, I'm just going to talk about me a little bit, then we're going to dive into understanding transferable skills. So this is me. My graduate student journey, I was able to run my first half marathon, so I became part of 13.1 Club. I lost about 30 pounds. No, I lost about 50 pounds while I was here. I gained about 20 back. That's okay. I lost 30 pounds. This is my first conference. It shows the difference between here and there. I cultivated my passion for running. It was a great stress reliever. And I did some races. So now I have about like 20 races under my belt. And I only run for medals. So while I was here, I learned more than just engineering. I learned to ask for help. I learned to ask for support. I learned to ask for space. And I also learned to be a leader. As you can see, I do a lot. But being a leader is near and dear to my heart, just to help people, like, bridge that gap between people who run organizations and what people need in organizations, right? I learned to advocate for myself, and that's how I got in the position that I am now, and I learned to apply my transferable skills. So my dissertation, right? So the final stretch, my dissertation was the impact of active learning interventions on student outcomes in core mechanical engineering topics. So what we did was use like a multidisciplinary approach in mechanical engineering. So the two topics were geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. And also the biggest topic was mechanics of material. And so we used this active learning, group learning approach where we had 3D multi-material printed models. You can see the model a little bit. But and acrylic bases where we did 3D modeling so they could help people understand what actually went on physically with materials when they deform. And that helps with their spatial ability, and in turn, it helped with their learning and that topic and increase their grades and everything like that. So I did a multidisciplinary approach with a student-centered experience. We often are told as students how we should learn, but the students told me how they learn best. And that helped me do iterative development. And it also helped me help them increase their scores. So then my other skills were active learning. I taught. I don't like teaching. I don't like being the person to transfer knowledge, and evaluation and statistical analysis. And then I also did focus group and user interviews. And that's basically what I do today. So what is Anchor? So for those who know, Anchor is the charging company, for those who do know. But we also have Eufy, we have Soundcore, and we have Myela. They're projectors. I don't really pay attention to those because they're expensive, and I don't really do projects on those. Soundcore, like the headphones, any like entertainment, like speakers. Eufy and Anchor are the two products that I work on the most. Eufy is like the home system. So we have robo-vacs, vacuum cleaners, Eufy security, Eufy baby, things like that. So I work for a pretty small, but like pretty well-known company that's like their trajectory, they're like what, 12 years old, and it's great. So I've had like many internships throughout my undergraduate years, did a lot of things between just Georgia Department of Education and Northrop Grumman, research, everything. All these internships reveal what I didn't enjoy doing, but I left with valuable skills. When talking to people about transferring into a different space outside of my PhD in mechanical engineering, people will try to put me in a box. They try to say that you should be a principal engineer. You should like say, oh, you should apply you'll be a good fit for this technical position. One person even sent me a job for a principal technician, which kind of, I feel as though it degraded what I worked so hard for. But I even had managers say like, hey, like, what's your skill set in mechanical engineering? But I knew I did not want to be a technical engineer. So, but I hate that people didn't realize like the potential that I had from the plethora of experiences I had. So, I just decided to go on and try to figure out how to transfer these skills. So what I ended up doing, I went on LinkedIn, I made a user research resume, went on LinkedIn Easy Apply, and I applied. I didn't feel like writing a cover letter. I was doing my dissertation at the time, and I was done. So I just applied, and I received a message from Anchor, and I've been with them almost 2 years in May. And so me and my boss are the only two consumer insight analysts in the United States. They are a Chinese-based company. And any new products like Anchor Solix. Has anybody ever heard of Anchor Solix? It's like their new like power storage, portable power system product line. You have? No, you raise your hand. You heard of it? So me and my boss single-handedly have worked on Anchor Solix, and we're part of that team to understand what the consumers wanted and how we can implement it into these devices. So we talked to our stakeholders, business partners, which are like yourself. So we're very important. It's just me and him, and it comes to us for all of the advice. One of my biggest projects were Anchor Make. Anchor Make is our 3D printers. We have 3D printers. And I got recognized by the person that was to the president, the CEO of Anchor, because of my excellent moderation skills. So you see, I went from mechanical engineering to being recognized for excellent moderation, getting to the nitty gritty, getting to those things where they needed that information to make better 3D printers and go behind like bamboo and things like that. So yeah. So that's me in a nutshell. And I know I talk fast sometimes, and I am still kind of nervous. But what I want to talk about is that exploring career options was always my top priority when I got here. Like I said, when I got here, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I came because I didn't know what I wanted to do. That was just something that I knew I could do, which was learn, and mechanical engineering. I did everything like everybody else. I took all the classes. I got the GPA. So from doing research to figuring out what I wanted to do post-grad, I leaned to my support system. So my support system, me networking, like PhD Consulting Club, doing events like this, and then also volunteering. I got to talk to a lot of people to see what I enjoy. One of my biggest stories from the support system was that Dr. Federer, Dr. Federer, Andre Federer, he saw me in, I think, teaching practicum class during the pandemic. He was like, hey, Myela, like, what do you know? Do you know what you're going to do when you finish? And I said, no, I don't know. I may know a little bit, but he put me in contact with two of his closest friends. And they helped me. They helped me brainstorm. They helped me sit there and understand what I was passionate about. Some of these methods to help cultivate and understand and identify your transferable skills came from Lauren, who was a dear friend of mine. And she's transferred from different places, but once you get to like she's like, she was part of like a head hunter on the Atlanta Food Bank. So once you get to those places, you had to have had a lot of experience. So he helped me. Then Dr. Roxanne Moore, she sat there like every other week when I was acting like, what am I going to do? Brainstorming with me. She did the same thing. She did an unorthodox path where she did a solid hardcore mechanical engineering project, more hardcore than mine was. Mine was kind of mechanical design. And she moved into seismic, which is the education space, and she's having a blast doing ear sketch and things like that. She even offered me a position to help bridge that gap until I did find what I wanted. So I'm thankful for that support system and being able to network here at Georgia Tech. So because everybody listens. Okay, so that goes to my talk about what are transferable skills. So, anybody know? No? You can raise your hand. I don't want to talk actually. Yes.
Oh, when you learn in class, then you can apply to like a job or just anything kind of in general industry.
Yes, basically.
All right.
There you go. So the skills that I acquired through internship, work, class, any experience that you have done that you can apply to life or use to adapt into a new job. Growing up, my mom always said, every experience and things that I did were transferable skills. So that's why that was always in the back of my head. And so I'm glad that she did embed that in me. So, yeah. So what do you think some of your transferable skills are? Yes.
Effective communication.
Okay. Yes. That's a transferable skill. Anybody else?
I love Microsoft Excel.
There you go. That's a beast in itself, but yeah, that's definitely a transferable skill. It's a transferable technical skill. So when I looked up common transferable skills, just transferable skills in general, these are the ones that so many of these seem like real trivial, right? Like teamwork, communication, writing, but everybody's not able to do it. And especially being in mechanical engineering, we have to do everything like this. We have to work in teams. We have to problem solve. We have to communicate. We have to write. We have to have the computer skills. So the ones that I voted are the ones that came naturally to me, but also, but also they were learned. So critical thinking, I was always a strategic thinker, strategic planner. Critical thinking and analytical reasoning came natural to me. Being detail oriented is what I do with my work. Project management, I did a PhD. It's a 5-year project. That's project management through and through, because I had to meet deadlines. I had to set goals. I had to actually do the things. I had to manage people. I had to manage my students. So that's project management, and analytical reasoning came from my PhD. I feel like adaptability is one of the ones that is like one of the most crucial transferable skills. So adaptability to me came from me being able to do multiple internships. I was always busy over the summer. Even when I graduated in December for my undergrad, I had a semester-long internship before I came down here to Georgia. So it's something that you have to be able to adapt in order to apply these transferable skills anyway. So other skills, so I was just like, okay, well, these are some common transferable skills. My transferable skills. So it took me a while to develop this. So I kept the ones that I voted because I said these are the ones that apply to me. But then I have other ones. So you can do Excel. That's quantitative analysis. So I had to do a lot of surveys. I had to do a lot of qualitative and quantitative analysis for my PhD. So those are my transferable skills. They will transfer into a different realm. Like I won't technically be a technical mechanical engineer anymore. Well, I'm technically not, but it transferred into that realm of consumer insight and marketing insights. Risk assessment is one of my transferable skills too. Anybody ever gives me the chance, I would love it. Product life cycling, I learned throughout my educational career. So therefore I feel as though that's something that's a transferable skill, but you can also take that framework and apply it to other things. Instructional design, I definitely did iterative design for these modules to help the students learn. So that's how I feel like that's one of my transferable skills. and then collaboration. So people may think teamwork and collaboration are the same thing, but in my mind, especially working for a cross-cultural, like in a cross-cultural cultural space, collaboration is when multiple teams work together, but also how teams work together and together. So I feel like when you can listen to people's opinions, and listen to how they speak, and listen and incorporate their ideas, mesh their ideas with your ideas, that's collaboration. Teamwork, you work together as a team to accomplish a goal, but when you can actually like effectively integrate somebody else's ideas and things, that's my idea of collaboration, and that's my idea of what my transferable skill is. So does anybody have like other skills that they think can be transferred?
Mentoring.
That's a transferable skill, because management means you have to mentor people. Any other ones? So facilitated interviews is a big one for me too, because I did focus groups, and now all I do is use an interview. So I talk to consumers like pretty much every day. And then one that is not up here, but I'm really good at, is event planning. I've headed multiple organizations, even in undergrad. I made sure that the NSB stayed afloat, and now they're excelling. But I used to plan events. I planned at least 20 events outside of general body meetings. And so event planning is also another transferable skill that I have. So you see how I pinpoint those skills, not just the common ones, but you have things that you do in everyday life that you just don't really think about that can be transferred. So in order to find these transferable skills, I feel like I'm talking fast, so I'm gonna slow it. But in order to find these transferable skills, I had to ask myself, right? What am I passionate about? So ask yourself, what am I passionate about? You may not know what you're passionate about. I mean, some people are up in age and still don't know what they're passionate about. I personally, I'm passionate about education, but like in a work-related space, I don't know what I'm passionate about, because education is my volunteer time thing, right? So what are you passionate about? And then Lauren, when I'm going back to the person that was introduced to me by Dr. Federer, Lauren asked me, like, what are 3 non-traditional areas or jobs you see yourself working on post-degree? So mines were education, user research, because my dissertation was basically student outcomes and students were the users, right? And project management or consulting, hence why I did a PhD in consulting. I didn't actually get into that realm because the pandemic happened, and then I just feel as though the whole process got shafted. We got shafted in that whole process, but like consulting was another one, and project management. But then it's just like, how can I use what I have learned in my experiences in these areas? So what skills will apply to those areas? What life lessons will apply to those areas? How can I apply them? And then this is in bold because I feel it's important. Unless you're confident in the skill, you can't actually apply the skill. So what skills do you feel confident in using these transferable skills? I mean, what skills do you feel confident in using in these non-traditional spaces? So think about that. Like, what do you feel confident doing? So you can always come back and have like the transferable skill that you don't feel confident, but what do you feel confident in using at that moment? So you can leverage and tell like that company, hey, I can do this because I did this and I'm confident in my ability to do this. So I'm gonna move this. So the tips for identifying your skills. So like I said, I talk to as many people as possible. Some people I don't talk to anymore, but I talk to a lot of people just to understand how they got where they were and why was that important to them, and how could I possibly follow that same path, that trajectory. And then you ask yourself the 4 questions that I asked just now, but also focus on enriching experiences that you're interested and passionate about. Like Courtney introduced me, I am a founding board member of a charter school. I always wanted to try to see what finding a charter school was like. So I am one, and that was a enriching experience. So Georgia Tech is full of experiences. My school was a small circle on a hill. This school is huge. You have a plethora of experiences that you can sit there and try to, it's non-committal, and you can just go to see if you enjoy it. be it pro bono consulting or volunteering, working with students, working with people with disabilities, doing whatever you want to do. And then look through LinkedIn jobs using keywords. This is what I did. This was very useful for me. So I used to have like these like late night insomnia things. Like, what am I going to do? Because I do need a job. Like, I'm going to not have money if I don't get a job. So, so what was I going to do? So we're typically exposed to the same company as engineers, the same companies, the same job titles, especially as mechanical engineers. They think you want to do thermodynamics. I think you want to do mechanics of materials. They think you want to do stress testing and things like that. But that's not always what you're passionate about. So when I did this, I went on LinkedIn Jobs and I started with the keyword PhD in engineering. Then I did PhD in mechanical engineering. And then I started looking at the job titles. Looking at the job titles helped me understand what else was out there. So quantitative analyst, qualitative analyst, qualitative research, user research, consumer insights, all those job titles resonated with me at the moment because that's what I thought I was passionate about, which I am still passionate about. I love my job, but I'm just saying that's what it. So then you extract the job title and then you take that job title, you can just search for a keyword as well. So you get to see what type of jobs are out there so that you can apply these skills that you have to those jobs. So just because they say you have to have 4, 5, 6 years of experience for this doesn't mean that they are actually looking for that. They're looking for somebody who can adapt and is willing to learn. So this is going to go down my resume, but you got to get creative with your resume, like enhance it so that you can show, like, so when I started doing these searches on LinkedIn, I decided I wanted a user experience resume. And then I did try to do a qualitative resume because I like qualitative more than quantitative analysis. I tried to do a qualitative resume, but the user research, user experience realm was more so what I was passionate about. I typically joke with people and tell them that if I knew human computer interaction was a PhD program when I started, I probably would have applied for that. Okay. But I'm very grateful that I am here in mechanical. So what I did here is I was a efficient assurance intern at Northrop Grumman. I didn't do anything technical here, but what I did was conduct need assessments. So what I did interviews for the key stakeholders, which were the technicians at the time, to help develop this product or this tool that I think they still use till this day, storage database system. And I did it on Excel VBA. So if anybody knows, it was hard, but but I helped simplify their database, their storage system, so that they can just input the numbers and pull the information out. But I was able to say that I conducted these interviews and I had stakeholders, I had those consumers, and what did it result in? Same thing for Godot. So I did intern at Godot and I was a computer science specialist intern. The computer science team had an initiative. This initiative was to help put computer science in all Georgia schools. I think it's about 2025. I don't know if it's still that time frame, but this is in 2019. So event planning, right? I planned, managed, and executed the logistics for this computer science summit held in Columbus, Georgia for over 200 students. We invited them, created flyers, booked the spaces, just made the events, made sure that everything went well. So that was my event planning skills. And then also my skill set was used in statistical analysis, Power BI, organization and visualization. So as you can see right here. So like I analyze and visualize. So those are some of my skills as well. So that's how I beefed up. I'm not saying beefed up, but I enhanced my resume so that my skills could shine. So then this is what I did here, right? I was a graduate research assistant. I did a dissertation. This is a job. I don't think people treat it like a job, but a PhD is a job and that's your experience. You spent 5 years doing this stuff. What did you do and how can you apply it to the real world? Well, for this one, it showed that I developed and executed. So I developed these integrated models and modules into the mechanics of materials class for over 80 students. So when I was back doing the consulting, one of my mentors at the time, the consulting programs, one of my mentors at the time said they want results, they want numbers in the business world, but they also want to see how they want results and they want to see numbers. So I took that with me, and then I made sure that I show, I know it's in the business world, but I think it was relevant for everybody. You want to see how many students did you impact? I impacted over 80 students. I had to analyze their work as well, but I impacted over 80 students, right? And what did it result in? It resulted in increased knowledge retention. So I created this, I was a teacher, like once a week, created this module, implemented it in the classes, got the information, got the feedback, created and kept making sure that, kept redoing it so that it worked better for them based on the feedback. And then it increased their knowledge retention and class performance and student engagement because they enjoyed having this break in the class. So my consumers were the students. I created their product and I had a result. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And also with this critical feedback, I also did focus groups. And I help identify existing gaps. Well, I do that now, right? I do interviews and I help identify existing gaps based on these interviews and these technology and these different technologies that we and other companies do have. So as you can see, the things that I did in my PhD here did transfer to what I do currently at Anchor. And it's probably why, this is the resume that I sent to them, but this is probably why they did say, oh, we want to talk to you, right? When I was in Anchor and they sent me the email, they said, tell me. So I went from saying, well, the students were impacted and they retained knowledge to saying the consumers, which were the students, use this product. This product was examined via surveys and things. I took that information from the survey, did iterative design and put it back into the modules to help enhance the experience so that I could create a framework. I created a framework that devised strategies for module creation and implementation and revision for other mechanical engineering topics. So I did this in 2 different topics. So that's why I believe that that framework will work moving forward. But this is the same thing I do at work. I create frameworks for more so for informational purposes because we're still a growing company. So yeah, we're like still a growing company. It's like being a mentee of a first year, like an assistant professor, right? So that's how I use my transferable skills to amplify what I did, why I did it, and a result of what I did. So now, yeah, I want to give you some tips for leveraging your transferable skills. So like I said, I'm not telling you to beef up your resume. I'm just saying enhance your resume using the transferable skills to demonstrate your ability to succeed in a different position. Like I showed you examples, it demonstrated that I had that mindset, I had the capability to do these same things in a different. Arlington, ready. And then be creative in describing your role in your internship or job experience relevant for that position that you're applying for. And also, when you're interviewing, do not be afraid to discuss how your experience in one area A, is applicable to the experience in the area that they want, which is area B, and then also share what could you possibly do for them, the potential results when it comes to applying what you apply to area A to area B. What could be the results? Lastly, you need to see the keywords in the job title to see what transferable skills they're actually looking for as well. Because they're actually actively looking for transferable skills. They don't always need somebody who's one-track minded in this space. They're looking for people with more creativity. They're looking for people with a mindset that doesn't allow you to be put in a box. They want to expand, like companies want to expand. So they want you to give valuable insight to help them expand. And I think that's honestly why I was hired at Anchor. I still haven't asked my boss why, because I thought I bombed the interview. But I'm here and they do value my opinion. So I think that having those skills and being able to transfer and think outside the box is why a lot of companies and HR representatives value these transferable skills. And lastly, being teachable and willing to learn are transferable skills as well. So I want to close by saying all limitations are self-imposed. People might, this is probably my all-time favorite quote. People might throw out, like give burdens, they might throw out roadblocks, but at the end of the day, you choose. You choose how you want to move around. You can jump over the roadblock, you can take the long course around it, but at the end of the day, you control your destiny, you control your life, you control how you represent yourself. So all limitations are self-imposed at the end of the day, to me. So thank you. So I would like to thank everybody for coming and joining me today. I hope it was a little insightful. And thank you for bearing with me because I was a little nervous. But I also want to thank Courtney for like asking me, like, can you do this, and believing in me, because like I was saying earlier, I'm scared to be the person to transfer knowledge. But it's always nerve-wracking. I want to thank the Young Alumni Council for starting this. This is very valuable to us, but I also would like to thank my GT support system. I couldn't do it without y'all. Look at them back, some of them back there. And I certainly could not have done this without my lovely friends and family and my mama preaching transferable skills since I was like in high school. So, and she's done a lot of different things, from like going from an insurance company to a nonprofit to a HUD developer. Like, she's done a plethora of things, and she had a degree in accounting. So, you know, she always transferred her skills. So I just follow her path, but I also want to make sure that if you don't know what you're going to do in life, try to figure out what's out there. You never really know what jobs are out there. That's why I said, go look on the LinkedIn job board. It will surprise you. So what type of positions they actually have out here. So yeah, and that is it. Thank you.
So we're gonna take some time to do question and answers from the audience as well as from our attendees that are online, if we have any. If you have a question in the audience, you could just raise your hand or stand up. Sure.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you had a lot of interesting like internships and experience over the years. What was your the experience you've learned the most from, even if it wasn't like your favorite?
I would like to say the one I learned the most from was my first research experience, because I did that fresh out of freshman year, and it taught me how to research. It taught me that we could create some amazing things in these labs. And it also taught me that I didn't want to do macromolecular. But what it did teach me was independence and how to move forward to my next internship. So my next internship was here. And then I went to Northrop Grumman, and that's when I realized I did not want to be in a big company, okay, at all. So that like solidified that I didn't want to be in a technical engineering as well, because there are Excel pushers at the engineering. But thank you for that question. Do we have one on one? We have one on one?
Yes. Did you have to excel at public speaking in college, being that you had to do presentations and collaborations? Okay, that's it.
No, I did not have to excel. I think it just came. And I think over time, it will just keep coming and just keep coming. So I did not have to excel. I didn't have to practice it. But I need to shout out to my mom, because she's always listening to my speeches before I get them together. So I think that helped me a lot, but I didn't have to like excel at it in order to do all these presentations.
You touched on this a little bit, but would you say that you would edit your resume based on the industry that you were applying for, or did you have one resume that you were sending out?
No, so the industry, based on the industry. So if I like do user research in consumer electronics, or user research in like let's say a zoo, because I don't know why.
Yeah, sure.
Honestly, I sent the same resume because I felt as though how I modeled myself in the user research experience wouldn't have been able to change. Like I maybe changed some things slightly based on what they were looking for. Of course, different postings look for different things, but in all honesty, I just sent the same resume. recommend doing that. I was just being very lazy. But no, yeah, it wasn't worth me doing a lot of transitions. And I never really wrote a cover letter either, besides for the consultant.
Why did you feel you bombed in the interview?
The first interview I felt was great. The first interview was with my direct boss today, the other person that's in consumer insight. But the second interview was with our boss, and he asked me some statistical questions, and I couldn't look him up because he is in China, so they have no profiles, or I don't know the characters for their names. I just felt as though that maybe my answers, but I have a thing where I don't feel as though I'm as intelligent or I'm speaking as clearly as I think I am. So I think my answers weren't as in depth, and I thought that they may have been looking for something different. And then I got that call when I was with my parents saying that they wanted to offer me the job. Yeah, it's a little bit of self-imposed imposter syndrome, but I'm working through it.
Do we have any additional questions in the room?
Yes.
We do. Go ahead, Miss.
Thanks for allowing me to ask another one. The Excel VBA,
XLVBA.
I Googled it and it looks like coding. So how is that relevant to what you do? And you mentioned that it was a beast. It definitely looks like.
That portion of it isn't relevant in anything that I do today. Because I had to create a tool, and I had to figure out how to create a tool that could be mastered, like on a Northrop Grumman system, they have like a master system where you can like pull things from different folders. So I had to make sure it was a tool that could be utilized by anybody and pulled, but also something that could be used by the technicians to input the information, because they had to crimpers. I don't know if anybody knows what crimpers, but so they had to take the crimpers and they had to make sure that they were good. They were goals and no goals and things like that. So I had to create something that was widely accessible yet intuitive. So that's why I chose to do Excel VBA at the time.
And prior to that, you had experience with it, or that was just the most effective? Oh, wow. That's going above and
Because you
beyond.
learn, you gotta adapt. Critical thinking, all of that.
Yeah, we have another question in the chat. Did you ever have to change anything about yourself for your current role? Or were you strict on your skill set when applying for jobs?
Mean like change anything about myself, meaning like who I am as a person or as like just as a profession.
I think in this case, the person's asking as a professional.
I don't think I had to change anything. My job is very flexible. If anybody knows, like I play a lot, but my job is very flexible. Anchor is we have a great work-life balance. So I don't think I had to change anything. What I did have to do was make sure that I was less irritated. Sometimes like my boss doesn't think the way that I think that he should think. But then we can sit there and have a conversation about it, talking about like, well, this is my perspective, this is his perspective. I do value his opinion greatly, but sometimes he irritates me. So I don't take that to heart. I just try to like brush it off and then like say, oh, well, I value your perspective. Maybe we can think about this, things like that.
Any additional questions online or in the room? If not, let's go ahead and give Dr. Paige another round of applause. Of Woodruff School, we would just like to thank you for joining us. I know you're here locally in Atlanta, but taking the time to come here today. And just a small token of our appreciation. Thank you. All right, so we have refreshments in the back of the room for folks who came in a little late. Just be sure to scan the QR code so that I can account for everyone who was here today. Up on the PowerPoint, we have the schedule of our future talks for the rest of the spring semester. Emmy Shaping the World Speaker Series started I think I launched this probably in 2019, fall 2019 with our first speaker series. And we've hosted it every spring since then. This spring in particular, we're working closely with the Woodruff Young Alumni Council. So a lot of our members who serve on the council are actually participating in the speaker series. So again, thank you again, Dr. Paige. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to continuing to get to know you through the council. So be sure to join us on February 29th for our next talk. We do not have one on February 22nd because that's the career fair. So for all of my undergraduates and graduate students, be sure to sign up or be sure to attend career fair on the 22nd. But we'll see you on February 29th, and then we're going to be kicking off Women's History Month with a panel discussion with some four of our alums, as well as it'll be moderated by one of our members of the Women of Woodruff, who's an alum from the school as well. So thank you again for joining us, as well as our attendees online. Thank you.